Hello everybody, welcome back to 89 Games as we continue our Gloomhaven guide series. Today we are talking about the Saw class. So, spoiler warning, if you haven't played the game and you don't want to see it, then turn away now, click off now. But for everyone else, we're going to jump right into it here in 3, 2, 1. Alright, here we have the Sawbones. Now, the Sawbones is what I would consider probably one of the top, if not the top, support character as far as healing goes. He is an excellent healer. Most of his abilities have to do with healing. He does not attack much. You could go an attack route with him, but I think he's really best suited as a healer and a support for the rest of your team. That's how I like to build him and play him and have seen him played, and it works really well depending on which characters you have to pair him with too. For instance, the Sunkeeper is a great combo to have with the Sawbones, but we'll talk about that as we look at his cards. So let's go ahead and jump over to those right now. Now, the first thing we need to mention as we look at his first card here, First Aid, is that he has the ability to give an adjacent ally a medical pack ability card. So the Sawbones has a unique mechanic where he has separate medipack cards and large medical pack cards that he can actually give to other players, to other characters, and it becomes a card in their hand until they use it, and then it goes back to the Sawbones pool of medical cards. So what these cards are is they essentially have a heal on the top and a heal on the bottom, but then they also still have the basic actions. You can still use a basic attack 2 or a basic move 2 with those cards. So what they essentially do is give other players extra turns, because even if they don't use the heal, they just use it to do a basic move instead of using one of their own bottoms that's maybe better, but they don't want to use it yet. Or if they just use a basic attack, no matter how they use the card, they've saved themselves using their own card, and it's saved them possibly a turn or more, depending on how many of these cards you give them. So this is a really powerful way to help your teammates, especially those low hand-sized characters, stay in the game a lot longer. And then the bottom of this one is a great move 4, which mobility is not really an issue for the Sawbones. He has pretty good mobility because his downside is that he does have a lot of heal abilities, but a lot of them are, as we'll see on the, I'll hold back the pane. We'll see that all his heal abilities are range 1. So you can't heal at range with the Sawbones. You do have to be adjacent to your ally to heal them. Hence, his movement, he's got a lot of move 4s and move 3s, some move 5s and move 6. So his movement is really powerful because he does not have ranged heals. So movement shouldn't be too much of a problem for him. And then this initiative here on this first one's really good at an 8. He does have a 15, a 12. He does have some lower initiatives that help him go early to help buff or heal allies before a turn really begins. But he can also go later, as we see, by 83 and this 89 down here. So kind of a mix, but he has a lot of middling cards too. So anyway, moving on to the next card here with Hand of the Surgeon. So Hand of the Surgeon, attack 4, 1 XP, a pretty good just basic attack to use. You won't be attacking a lot with the Sawbones necessarily. In the way that I'm going to build him, he's mostly a healer and a debuff remover for our team. Although he is going to have a couple of moves that he can do that are attacks that will be really powerful, but they're kind of one-offs that he can do. So then the bottom of this card, though, is all your heal actions this round affect you and all adjacent allies. So this is a really powerful one to hold on to for a little while, because it can turn those, this heal 3 down here into heal 3 on your whole team if you can manage to get adjacent to everybody. So that's a good little buff right there for your heals to just spread those heals amongst your whole team. And then the next card, Hold Back the Pain, we've already looked at it. Heal 3, range 1, 1 XP. And that's the other thing too, is you'll get a lot of XP as a Sawbones, because if you're playing him as a support character, a lot of his support cards will give you XP, and you'll find yourself leveling up very quickly. The bottom of this one is all your melee attacks this round target all adjacent enemies. So you will be up in the front line from time to time, because you'll be up there with your tank trying to heal them. So you may end up in a situation where you are surrounded by 2 or 3 enemies, and you're able to add this and maybe do like Hand of the Surgeon, attack 4 on 3 enemies. That's really powerful. It's a pretty strong move. But it's going to be situational if you actually, get to do that. And then moving on to Booster Shot. This one is a heal 4, again, range 1 on top, so another good strong heal, plus it can be upgraded later on, as we can see by those pips. They're kind of hard to see on the card there, but they're there. And then at the bottom of this one, though, is what makes this build, this support build, work if you have the right team to use it on. So the bottom is place this card in one adjacent ally's active area and treat it as if they own the card. You get 2 XP, and they get this card, which gives them shield 1 for the entire scenario. Now, this burns once it goes away, but it's an active card, so that's not really a concern here. You give this card essentially to your teammate, and they get a shield 1 permanently for the scenario. So this works really good giving this to your tank, and that's why I said the Sunkeeper, and I mentioned in my Sunkeeper guide how there was a character class that went really well with her. This is that class. If you give the Sunkeeper, who already has a permanent 1 shield card of their own, which can be upgraded to a shield 2 card, and then you give them this additional shield, now they've got shield 2 or shield 3 permanently for an entire scenario, making them very hard to kill, and making them almost just able to bulldoze through most scenarios and take a lot of heat off the rest of your team, which can make the game a lot of fun, and also actually almost put it on easy mode if you know what you're doing when you've got those shields and you use them effectively. So I really like the bottom of this card. It does cost you that card, but it buffs an ally so powerfully, and even if you don't have the Sunkeeper, it can still be effective on your tank, but the Sunkeeper is really where this card shines. And then the next one, Bloody Saw, is another nice attack for us with a wound added to it, so decent damage there. Plus you gain 1 XP again. A lot of these cards give us XP. And then the bottom is the Loot 1, which we don't have movement with, so probably won't get too much use out of that one. Then the next is Curative Mixture. Now this one is a heal 3, range 1, but you also remove all negative conditions on the healed target. And then you gain 1 XP. Now this doesn't remove... The heal will still be negated by a poison. Like, the heal will still have to take the poison away, because the remove all negative conditions doesn't happen until after the heal happens. So don't think that you can remove the poison and heal them with this card. It's still only going to remove the poison. However, if they have other things like immobilize or stunned or muddled or any of those other negative conditions, it will remove those. So this is actually a really good card to go early and get your stunned ally unstunned so they can still take their turn. And then the bottom is a move 3, and then at the end of that move, you also remove all negative conditions on an adjacent ally. So the Sawbones is really good, not only at healing, but also removing all those really annoying conditions that you seem to be constantly getting on you, depending on what enemies you're fighting. So it really helps buff the team up by removing those debuffs from the enemies. And then the next one, Syringe, is a shield 2, target 1 adjacent allied mercenary, and then the bottom is an attack 1, poison, and stun. So the top shield 2, that's good again if you're up there with your tank because you just healed them or something. You can give them an extra shield 2, which that can be really powerful depending on what attacks are coming. And then the bottom is a good attack for the stun. But again, you have to be already adjacent to someone because it's a bottom attack and there's no move. You wouldn't be able to move and use this. So this one is actually kind of a very situational card. And we'll actually be taking this one out here around level 3. But for now, it's a decent card if you can get that attack off or give an ally a shield. The next one is Battlefield Medicine. You give one adjacent ally the large medical pack ability card. Now this one does twice the healing of the standard medical card, which I believe is heal 4, so this one's heal 8. However, this burns for you, and the way that I like to play the Sawbones, we're going to be using 2 burns within the first few turns of the game. So I don't like to use any more burns with him, generally speaking, so we probably wouldn't be using this one. And then the bottom is you and all allies are immune to all negative conditions this round. It's an aura. It doesn't have a range on it or say adjacent allies. So this would give your whole team immunity no matter where they are. So that's actually a really powerful buff on the bottom there. So it's a decent card for the bottom. I wouldn't use the top one though because it's really not worth it when you can give out the other standard med packs for free basically without having to burn your card. So then moving on to Triage. Triage is once during each of your next 4 turns, you perform a heal 2, range 1 action. And then, of course, this one burns. So that sounds good, but it's going to force you to do that heal 2, even if you have no one to use it on. So unless you yourself are down a lot of health, this one doesn't really make a lot of sense because you're going to have to make sure every turn you're adjacent to someone that needs healed. Otherwise, you're going to waste charges of this card. So it's kind of hard to use it effectively. The bottom is a move 5 though, which is really good for our mobility. But again, our mobility isn't really an issue with the Sawbones. So I don't really have a problem with trading this card out, which we will be doing here in just a minute. And then moving on to Mobile Response, the last of our level 1 cards. At the start of each of your turns, remove one negative condition from any one of your allies. Now this is an active card for the scenario, getting 2 XP when you use it. And this is really nice because, I mean, at the beginning of the turn, someone's poisoned, you can just take it away. At the start of your turn. Or if someone is stunned, you can take it away. It's really good, it's really powerful, but again, this would end up being 3 burns the way I'm going to play this. So I probably wouldn't be using this one in my build. But that doesn't mean it's not a good card, in that with a different team combination or different way of playing this character, you may find a lot of use out of this one for sure. It's still a very powerful card. And then the bottom is a move 5 wound. You target all adjacent enemies, but it burns. If I'm going to burn the card, I'd burn it for the top, never for the bottom. Alright, so then moving on to our X cards. So first off, we have Prevention is key. The top is a disarm. You target all adjacent enemies. That's really good, just, you know, oh crap card, or I have to move up to heal someone. Now I can disarm all these enemies, so we're safe for the turn, get the heal off on them the next turn and move away. Whatever the case, disarming is a good control card, especially targeting all adjacent enemies. And then the 13 initiative is nice as well. And then the other one, Shield 1, affect self and all adjacent allies. Not very good, because again, you have to be adjacent. It's more difficult to use. But we are going to take this one for the top, and we're going to take out Triage to put that in. And the next one is Teamwork. You and all adjacent allies may recover an amount of discarded cards up to the number of allies adjacent to you. And then this one burns. So say you have, you know, your whole party of 4, or you're all together, you have 3 allies next to you. Everyone gets 3 cards back from their discard pile. Really powerful, actually. I mean, that's a lot of turns you're getting back as a team. But again, this one burns on you. I wouldn't be using it for the build I'm going to use, and I don't know if it's really worth the burn. It just depends on your team and what cards we're getting back and how you're playing at the time. The bottom of this one, all adjacent allies may perform move 2, and then you also move 2. So decent little card to get everybody moving if you need it, but again, they have to be adjacent, so it's kind of situational. And then the last one is Vaccine. Attack 1, range 3, poison in that triangle pattern. So that's a decent because of the poison, because it gives your whole team more damage on maybe 2 or 3 enemies if you can hit that many with this attack. However, the bottom is why we are going to take this one. The bottom is place this card in one adjacent ally's active area and treat it as if they own the card. So just like our booster shot bottom, except this one makes them immune to all negative conditions. And then, of course, they get to keep this card until you die. Now, that is one caveat to remember. I'm not sure. I think when we played the board game version, we played it because it says you treat it as if they own the card. I believe that we kept it on our people even if the Sawbones went down. But in the digital, I'm not 100% sure if it'll still do that, or if the Sawbones goes down, you'll lose the benefit of the card. So something to keep in mind. It shouldn't really be too much of an issue. If you're playing the Sawbones as more support, he shouldn't be taking a whole lot of damage anyway. But just keep that in mind. But this immunity to all negative conditions, again, go back to the Sunkeeper example, 3 shield, and now I'm immune to poison, wound, stun, muddle, immobilize, all of that. Your tank will thank you, and they'll have the most fun they've ever had, because they'll just run through a whole map, not worried about who's hitting them or what's hitting them, and just plow through enemies. And then the rest of your team will thank you, because now your tank is just doing the job of a tank and drawing all that damage in, and the rest of the team can have fun just killing things and picking things off from the edges of the map. So these 2 cards together make an excellent combination to give to your tank, especially if that tank is the Sunkeeper. So we'll take Vaccine, and we're going to take out Mobile Response to put that in. Since, again, we're probably not going to use this burn here, because we'll be using this burn and this burn. And at that point, we'll be down to 8 cards, so we're going to want to be careful on burning from then on to be able to stay in the game as long as possible. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the leveled cards and talk about those. But we already have the basic build of the Sawbones with just level 1 here. So level 2, we Hamstring or Precaution. Hamstring is another attack 4, so attack 4, immobilize, you gain 1 XP. The bottom is a move 6, so a really nice move, but you immobilize yourself. So depending on what you're doing, this can be kind of a crappy situation to put yourself in, but it can also be really handy to have that move 6, even if you can't move the next turn. And you may not need to move the next turn, meaning this would be a great card to use in that situation. And then Precaution, shield 1, you affect all allies, doesn't matter where they are, so that's a good defense card for your team. And then the bottom is another give an adjacent ally a medical pack ability card. So I believe I've seen this go both ways. I believe I've seen this Precaution taken before, and then First Aid top and bottom used on the same turn to give someone 2 cards at once. Or we could go Hamstring and take the attack 4. Since we don't have a lot of attacks ourselves, I kind of want to go Hamstring, which is what I'm going to do here. I will take Hamstring, especially for that move 6 on the bottom. And then we'll take out Battlefield Medicine to put that one in, since again, we're probably not going to be using this burn because of the other 2 burns that we're using. So we'll throw Hamstring in. Let's move on to level 3. And at level 3, we're going to find Regenerative Tissue and Vital Strike. So first up, Regenerative Tissue. I am having a hard time saying that. The top is a heal 5 on yourself, gain 1 XP, and then the bottom, you place this card in your ally's area again as if they own it, and at the start of each of your turns, well, which it would be their turns, they can perform a heal 1 self action. So this is kind of, I mean, it's good, but if you've already given someone, vaccine, that's better because they'll never get a negative condition in the first place. This one effectively makes them immune to like poison and wound because they'll heal themselves of it every turn, but vaccine makes them never get it in the first place. And then the bottom, the other card rather, is Vital Strike, an attack 7, but it burns, and then a move 4. So in this case, I'm going to go with Regenerative Tissue, and that's because of the top heal, because this is something that you could pair really well with Hand of the Surgeon, because the bottom, all your heal actions affect you and all adjacent allies. So now you can heal 5 yourself and anybody adjacent to you. Plus, this is a repeatable heal 5. It's a pretty strong card. So we're going to take Regenerative Tissue and take out Syringe to put that one in. And then we'll move on to level 4. And at level 4, we're going to find Blood Transfusion or Do No Harm. Now, Blood Transfusion is a heal 7, affect 1 adjacent ally, you suffer 2 damage, gain 1 XP, and then the bottom is an attack 3, you heal 2 all adjacent allies. So that's a nice little double card there. You get to attack and heal adjacent allies with it. So it's an effective card. The top is a nice strong heal. However, Do No Harm. Kill 1 adjacent normal or elite enemy, you disarm and immobilize yourself, you gain 2 XP, and the card burns. And then the bottom is a move 4, heal 3, range 1, which move and heal on the same side of a card is really powerful. But I like the top of this one because the way I've seen this played is it's really great for that situation where, hey, there's just one enemy that is just a big pain in the butt. Every time we see one of these guys, it's terrible. We just want them to die. That's where the Sawbones can say, hey, all right, it's my turn to go ahead and kill something. Walk over to that thing and kill it. Yeah, you're disarmed and immobilized for the next turn, but who cares? You totally just took out an elite enemy, one shot, didn't have to pull a modifier, no chance of missing, it's dead. This is a really great strategy for their Sawbones to still be helpful on the combat side of things. For that, again, really difficult enemy that's annoying that you just want to get rid of, he can take care of that while everybody else focuses on the rest of the enemies. And plus, as I've said many times before about these types of cards, you're saving so many turns when you use this. Now, this would be a third burn, so it would have to be a situation where, like, hey, this really makes sense to use it. However, the bottom of this will be useful until you use the burn part, because a move 4 and a heal 3 on the same side is, again, like I said, really powerful. So Do No Harm is the card we're going to take at level 4, and then we're going to take Bloody Saw out. So we're losing that attack, but, we're gaining the ability to just straight up kill an enemy. So I think that's a good trade. And then we're going to move on to level 5. At level 5, we're going to find Research the Cure and Amputate. So Research the Cure is an attack 4, remove all negative conditions on all adjacent allies. So that's a nice boost right there. If you're next to your tank and he's stunned or poisoned or whatever the case, you can attack something and then he loses all his negative conditions. And then the bottom of this one, though, is really powerful. It essentially puts the 2 cards that we're using together. So you place this card in your allies area just like the others. They get shield 1 and they're immune to all negative conditions with this one card. So now we don't have to use 2 burns anymore to power them up. We can do it with 1. Now, you could also still use all the other cards, or rather, you wouldn't have to use the immunity card anymore. You could just use the other shield card, and now let's go back to the Sunkeeper example. Shield 4, immune to all negative conditions. Absolute beast of a tank right there. And then the other card is Amputate, which is an attack 4, wound immobilize, gain 1 XP, bottom's a heal 7, range 1 stun. So it heals your ally, but it also stuns them. But it is a heal 7. And if you use a card where you can remove negative conditions after you stun them, then that I can see how that would work out. But the way we're playing this guy, Research the Cure all the way is what we want right here. And then we're going to go ahead and take out, not Booster Shot, but we'll take Vaccine out, because this will give us a shield and immunity, and then we can still give a shield to the same person, or we could give the shield to someone else, or we could keep Vaccine in and give someone else immunity to conditions. It's really not a wrong way to do this. It just depends on how you want to do it. But some combination of these, of 2 out of the 3 of these cards, Booster Shot, Vaccine, and Research the Cure, and you should be in really good shape as the support character that we're going for. Okay, and then we'll move on to level 6. We got Euthanize or Prescription. So Euthanize is another kill enemy card. This one kills one adjacent normal enemy with at least 2 negative conditions. Gain 1 XP. So not nearly as good as the other one, but it doesn't burn. So it has to be a normal enemy with 2 conditions, which, depending on your team, it might not be too hard to have negative conditions on them, and this could be a good card to take for taking out those normal enemies. And then the bottom is an attack 1, poison, wound, and stun. So really good for spreading around the negative status effects right there. However, Prescription is give all adjacent allies a medical pack ability card, and then the bottom is give all adjacent allies 1 large medical card. So in this case, now, depending, again, if you're playing, there's lots of poisons happening out there, and people are getting 2 negative conditions on them, you might want to go ahead and take Euthanize here because of the killing normal enemies just outright and getting this card back later because it doesn't burn. That's really powerful. However, I'm going to go with Prescription just because of giving all adjacent allies the medical card. This would be a good one to use on turn 1 when you're adjacent to everybody still, and with Initiative 6, you should beat pretty much everybody. So we'll take First Aid out to put that one in, and now we can really spread around those cards to give everyone extra turns and extra cards, and they will thank you for it. It's really, really nice to have those and be able to last longer. So then we're going to move on to level 7, where we're going to find Master Physician and Surgeon's Satchel. So Master Physician, before your next 6 heal abilities, you remove all negative conditions on the heal targets. So this is the case of you're actually going to remove the conditions before you perform the heal action. So this would remove poison first and then still give the person the actual healing. So that's a pretty powerful card if you've got a lot of negative conditions on your allies. And then the bottom is add +4 heal to all your heals this round. Now it's a bottom, so you can't move, so you're going to have to already be adjacent to people. So that's a little more situational, but it is powerful. The other one, though, is Surgeon's Satchel, which is a loot 1, heal 2 all adjacent allies on top. And then the bottom is a move 4, and you give an adjacent ally another medical pack ability card. I'm going to take this one because it's going to be more useful more often. Because first off, we can move and loot, which is a nice bonus, and still heal 2 all adjacent allies. And then on the bottom, we get a move 4, and we can give someone the medical pack card to boost their turns. So I like this one. We're going to take that. And then we're going to replace Hold Back the Pain with Surgeon's Satchel. And then let's go on to level 8, where we're going to find Bedside Manner or Gentleman's Anger. Now, Bedside Manner, nice low initiative. Heal 3, range 1, remove all negative conditions on the healed targets, and give them a large medical pack ability card, but this one burns. And then the bottom is a move 2, an adjacent ally may recover up to 2 of their discarded cards. So, good support card on the bottom there. The top, again with the burn and the way we're using our burns, probably not going to get to use that one. Gentleman's Anger, however, is a nice just all-around attack card for us. Since we don't have a lot of that, it's nice to have one every once in a while. Top is attack 5 and disarm, gain 1 XP, and the bottom is attack 3 at range 5, gain 1 XP. So I like Gentleman's Anger just for the flexibility of being able to attack. So we're going to take that, and we're going to take out Hand of the Surgeon to put that one in, because this is our attack 4. We're definitely upgrading that. Now we'll lose the heal actions affect you and all adjacent allies, but At this point in the game, it probably won't be that big of a deal to lose that. Okay, and then we'll move on to level 9. So Prep for Surgery and Grizzly Trauma are our cards at level 9. Prep for Surgery, so the top of this one's really interesting, and it really goes full-blown healer. So all of your attack and move abilities may be performed as heal abilities of an equal value plus 1. So a move 2 is a heal 3. An attack 5 is a heal 6. In such cases, the range is 1 unless otherwise specified, and ignore all conditions applied by the attack abilities. So for instance, the one that we just picked up, the bottom is attack 3, range 5. It's now a heal 3, range 5, because it does specify a range. However, the top of this would only be a heal, or I'm sorry, the bottom would be a heal 4, because it was plus 1. Heal 4, range 5, and the top would be a heal 6, but only range 1, because it doesn't specify a range. And we wouldn't disarm our ally. So that one's really good for going full-blown healer, because now we can move and use our attack to heal. And remember, this should also apply to our basic attacks as well. So, we have a basic heal 3 every turn. This is a really powerful card for playing that healer role. Although it is another burn, so we have to consider that depending on how many of our buff cards we're giving to allies. And then the bottom is a move 3, stun one adjacent enemy, which is really good, getting that move and being able to stun at the end of it. And then the other card is Grizzly Trauma. So this one kills all normal or elite enemies in a targeted area that are suffering from 10 or more damage at range 3 with that triangle pattern. So it means they have to have taken at least 10 damage for this to actually kill them. So it's a lot more situational, maybe more difficult to use, but you are at level 9, so your enemies are probably pretty high level too. So I don't know how useful that would be overall. It might be kind of hard to use because you'd have to make sure the enemies are suffering from 10 or more damage, and then be able to get more than one enemy with that kind of damage on them in that pattern. I just see that being really difficult. The bottom is a move 2, Poison, Wound, and Muddle, all adjacent enemies. Decent for putting the status effects around, but I like Prep for Surgery here, going full healer with using the top of this card if we get that opportunity. So we're going to take that, Prep for Surgery, take Regenerative Tissue out at this point because of this makes everything a heal essentially. And there we go, we have our level 9 Sawbones. But again, the real big play for Sawbones here is supporting a tank with Booster Shot, Vaccine, and what was the other one? Research the Cure. These 3 cards in some combination just can make your tank unstoppable. Or they can make 2 of your characters like super buffed up and able to do more. It's very powerful. He's a great buff character, a great heal character. If you want to play a support role, if you like playing a support character, the Sawbones is an excellent choice. I think you'll have a lot of fun with him. But with all that said, let's go ahead and talk about some items real quick. So with his unique playstyle, a lot of items don't make sense. There's a few that do though. So for instance, Empowering Talisman is what I would probably take for a head item once it's available. Before that, just take like Iron Helmet or something to be a little more tanky, be able to take that two times hit. But when you get an Empowering Talisman available, take that because you can refresh one of your consumed items, which we will be definitely taking stamina potions to try and stay in as long as we can, since we're going to be using 2 burns as the Sawbones. So this is a great card to use to get those back, to get more cards back. And then as far as armor goes, really anything goes here. Even regular armor is fine because you're not going to be attacking very often as the Sawbones. So having the extra -1 modifiers isn't that big a deal. Who cares? Like, we're still going to get the extra shield, which is good for our survivability because we will be in dangerous spots from time to time because of having to move up to heal people. So armor is actually not a bad choice, even though there isn't a way for us to remove the -1s because he does not have the immunity to negative item conditions. He doesn't have that as a perk. However, you could also go with something like Cloak of Pockets to carry more items that could buff your allies, or Flea Bitten Shawl. If you have the Jaws of the Lion DLC, gives you 99 for the purpose of focusing, helps keep you out of danger more. So there's options, there's different things you could do, but I would probably just go with armor and just go basic, defense form for body part, or rather for a body item. And then his hand items, now there's a few choices here. Definitely I would take a shield, just again for the extra tankiness. And then anything that can support an ally, so maybe like something that creates an element would be really good because you could create an element for your ally that's going after you to power up their attacks. Or you could go with something like Versatile Dagger once you get it unlocked to make your attack 2 basic actions attack 3s. Just so you have a little more options if you need to attack more. Or really anything else that creates elements for allies. Think support when you're trying to pick out a hand item. And then we go to the feet. So Sawbones does not have any jump abilities, so the wing boots would probably be a great option to take early on. Later on, upgrade them to like rocket boots. Getting extra movement out of boots of striding and its various upgrades doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because you're going to have some pretty good movement anyway. And honestly, the jump will probably come in more handy than the extra move. Okay, and then we move on to the actual items here. So obviously, we want to go minor and major stamina potions as soon as we can. That's going to help us stay in longer as we recover our cards, plus help us recover, heal cards or the cards to give other people our metapack cards. So that can really help keep us and our allies in the battle a lot longer, taking stamina potions. You could take a healing potion for yourself if you want, but as many heals as you have, you probably won't really need it. And then anything else that helps you recover items or buff allies. So, blessing allies, healing allies with ring restoration, scroll of stamina, you can give allies cards back. Anything that helps and buffs allies is what I would stick with the Sawbones. Okay, and then let's go ahead and talk about his perks real quick. So again, he doesn't have any of those special perks that make him immune to negative scenario effects or to negative item effects. So he really is focused on the healing. But as always, we can remove 2 negative ones. That'll just help us for when we do attack. And then after that, we can probably replace zeros with +2s. That's going to give us a net gain. And then once we've done that, we could go ahead and remove the 4 zeros at that point. So now we're kind of a mixed bag. We should still have better on the positive side, but we still got a -2 and -1 in there that we can't get rid of. However, we can add refresh item card. And then after that, I would probably just go with either the rolling heal or the rolling attack. So either of those two, really. Let's just say we go with +2s because that's what we normally do. We'll take those rollers. We'll add the attack 1 immobilized cards, which actually those aren't rollers, so you should probably actually take those before you take the rollers. I didn't notice that. However, then we're going to move on to taking the heal cards since we're a healer, and then we can take the stun and the 2 wounds. And really, these are up to you, whatever you like best, but definitely take anything that removes the -1s as always, or that adds positive cards. So there we have our modifier deck. Now we won't be using this much. As a Sawbones, you'll rarely use your modifier deck because you won't be attacking much. If you're playing it the way I'm playing, I like to play him as almost a pure support role. But for that rare occasion where we do attack, it's nice to have a pretty good chance of pulling a positive card. All right, and there you have it. That is the Sawbones in all his bloody, healy glory. So again, I really like the Sawbones as a support class. He is really fun to play if you don't mind playing a support class, and you'll find that you are really powering up and helping your team. So Sawbones, a great support class, great combo with the Sunkeeper, really fun to play. All right, and with that, remember to like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, then watch this video down here next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and keep on gaming. And at level 3, we're going to find regenerative tissue,